All right. What's up, you guys? We are back once again with the Ill Behavior. This is the Ill Bill, and welcome to the Chill with Bill show. Hey, Psych Hacks. This dude is so funny, okay? So funny, and I love his videos. But this one right here, look, logic. I gotta give y'all the warning with the prefaces, okay? He's about to hit y'all with some logic, all right? So there's gonna be some math involved, but let's go ahead and check it out.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraband, and this is PsycHacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is girl math. So in this episode, I'm going to discuss how women are subject to making emotional decisions about economic realities using a concrete, anonymized example from a recent consultation. Now, the point of this discussion is not to make fun of or put down this particular person, because the fact of the matter is, this person is emblematic of an issue that is very prevalent among the women that I consult and in society in general. So she's being used here because she exemplifies a larger phenomenon, not because she is some strange outlier that deserves any particular scorn or mockery.
Definitely not. However, we just gonna say you fumbled the bag, sis. Okay, you fumbled the bag.
So here's the situation. A few months ago, I did a consultation with a 35-year-old woman who told me that she wanted to get married and have children as quickly as possible.
It's funny, right? Because she's 35. That seems to be the magic number. Right around 35, gotta settle down. Gotta have kids. Don't worry about my past. Let's not talk about that. Let's worry about the future. And here comes the Beta Bob, right? After she's been getting, piped by God knows who. You know what I mean? Like, it's a magic number, 35.
She also told me that she just ended a 4-year relationship and that she hadn't yet re-entered the dating scene.
Dummy.
And I responded,
don't end 4-year relationships when you're 35 years old and try to start dating again. It's not a good look.
Okay, well, that relationship is probably your best bet of getting married and having kids in the immediate future. And it might still be possible to warm that one back up. Can you tell me a little bit about what the issue was? Why did you decide to end the relationship? It turns out that she was living in his apartment. He took care of the rent and the utilities and the food and who knows what else. And in return, he apparently expected her to perform some low-value labor, her words. And I asked, what does that mean, low-value labor? And she told me that he wanted her to do half his laundry, which, to be fair, is kind of a strange request, half his laundry. But maybe she balked at doing all his laundry, and he was trying to get some skin in the game.
Which is probably exactly what happened. But look, I mean, any relationship that you're in, if you're living with somebody, there's going to be chores, and each one of y'all going to have to do it. If he's paying the rent, all the bills, utilities, food, all this stuff, like, and you live in an apartment, there's not like a whole lot more left to do. Keep things tidy, right? Maybe make dinner, laundry. That's about it. There's no lawn, there's no gardening. You know what I mean? Like, there's probably not a lot of chores outside, right? Like, you're not doing much when you live in an apartment. You know what I mean? So he literally was asking her for like nothing, like, I'll just do this little bit and your life is like easy street, right?
In any case, the woman was apparently adamantly opposed to doing this man's laundry. The issue came to a head, and the woman decided to end the relationship and move out of his apartment.
I gotta be clear on this one too. She didn't like him that much. Like, this is stupid. Any woman who really actually likes her man is going to want him to be, in clean clothes, is going to want him out in the world looking fresh. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he's taking care of the bills and doing all these things, like, any woman who's worth a damn, right? She's going to want him to be the best reflection of himself, because he's a reflection of her as well, right? In her eyes, right? Just like she's a reflection of him in his eyes, you know what I mean? Into the world. So she didn't like him that much, like that and the only reason why she stayed with him for 4 years because he was paying her shit. You know what I mean? That's all I can think of. And this is weird, right? So I wonder how long they were living together, because did he finally just kind of man up and say, hey, you need to do some laundry? Because if that's the case, she was used to not doing it for however long, and that's really what the issue was. You know what I mean? So I wish you would go into depth a little bit on that one. I just want to know how long they were living together and in this relationship, right? because if she was with him for 4 years, moved in after a year, lived with them for 3 years, after 2 years or 2.5 years or whatever it was, he's like, hey, will you do some laundry or whatever? Like, she's already used to being a dirtbag, you know what I mean? And not putting in any effort, right? So that's probably what really happened. He was trying to like change some things, reassert himself, trying to get some more value out of the relationship or whatever. And of course, she's like, the grass is greener, except there's no grass on the other side, babe.
So I wanted to talk about this a little bit. First and foremost, as I discussed in the episode, The Trap of the High Value Woman, you can't only do the high value stuff. You can't just be the personal confidant or the business partner or the passionate soulmate all the time. That's like expecting a job to be 100% what you want to do and 0% what you don't want. Obviously, we want our jobs and our relationships to be mostly what we want to do, but no one can get 100%. That's just unrealistic. But the point I really want to make here is, was that actually low value labor?
Nope.
Let's consider some rough calculations, shall we? This woman moved out of that guy's apartment and got her own one bedroom, which in San Francisco costs around $3,000 a month. She is now responsible for that entire rent herself, plus utilities and food. I asked her how much she made, and she told me that after taxes, she takes home $75,000 a year. Now, that might sound like a lot to some of the listeners out there, but it is not a lot for San Francisco. We would call that Bay Area poor. Why? Because those three things alone, rent, utilities, food, are going to put her back somewhere to the tune of $5,000 a month. Yep. 5,000 times 12 is $60,000. That means that after taxes, this woman enjoys a discretionary income of $15,000 a year.
Which means you're broke, okay? $15,000 a year after rent, food, and utilities is nothing. How are you paying for gas? You know what I mean? Like any car maintenance issues, like anything that happens, never mind like fun stuff, any kind of emergency whatsoever, you're screwed, right?
Year. I'll return to the full significance of this number in a minute. But first, let's talk about laundry. Now, laundry is actually the easiest of all the domestic chores because technology. You move the clothes.
I agree with the technology part, but I hate folding clothes. I just hate it. Washing and drying, that's the easy part, right? And for the guys, the single brothers out there that know me and know themselves, right? A lot of these guys, will do the laundry. It will just keep washing and drying until it's all done. And then we got a huge pile of clothes on the bed. Yeah, don't be sleeping next to that.
From the hamper to the machine and push a button. An hour later, you move the clothes to the other machine and push a different button. Most of the actual labor involves folding the clothes and putting them away. Given the low maintenance care of most guys' clothes, however, a load of male laundry can demand 15 minutes of actual effort max.
Yeah, if you don't wear a lot of clothes, you know what I mean? Like, depending on what your day-to-day activities are or whatever, like, and you're keeping up on it, I would say that's probably about right.
Now, this woman's ex-boyfriend wanted her to do every other load of laundry, which would probably amount to 2 loads a month. At 15 minutes per load, that's 30 minutes of actual labor per month.
Here comes the
logic. And because she wasn't willing to do those 30 minutes of labor, she now has to pay $60,000 a year to cover the various expenses associated with living alone.
So just like he said, 30 minutes a month equaled $5,000 worth of rent, utilities, and food. 30 minutes a month, $5,000, right? Which is $60,000 a year.
Okay. So
Crazy.
What this means is that laundry was not a low value activity. Given the economics in play, this guy was actually offering to pay this woman $10,000 an hour to do laundry.
Just let that sink in. So I told y'all the logic, right? Like you gotta like math. You gotta be okay with this stuff in order for this to just give you the giggles, right? Because nobody is paying anybody $10,000 an hour to do laundry. Not directly, right? But he's right? The functional equivalent, right? The value that she was getting was $60,000 a year.
Remember, she was saving $5,000 a month by having him subsidize her living expenses, and all he requested was 30 minutes of actual work a month in return.
And of course, she has to sleep with them, right? There's that part too. Again, so I'm gonna go back to she just didn't really like him that much. That's really what it boiled down to, because no woman who actually likes her man is gonna do this, right? They're not gonna cost themselves 60 grand a year because they don't want to do a load or two of laundry, right? Like, she didn't like him.
30 minutes at 5,000 is 1 hour at 10,000. Now, before I go any further, if you're liking what you're hearing, please consider sending this episode to someone who might benefit from its message, because it's word of mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow.
That's true.
You can also hit the thanks button and tip me in proportion to the value you feel you derived from this episode, because I depend on your support to make all this happen. I really appreciate it. I will also soon be starting a weekly newsletter, so if you want to opt in, you can do so on my website. Finally, if you're thinking of going to grad school, you need to check out my top-rated GRE study program at stellargre.com. Okay? Let's get back to it. So I'm not sure if this woman really thought this through. I tried to explain to her that if you're being paid $10,000 an hour to do laundry, you cannot possibly consider laundry to be a low value.
And you fold the clothes, dummy. Just $10,000 an hour.
Activity. If that's all that you did, you would earn your entire take-home annual salary in less than a business day. However, she seemed committed to the idea that she should be able to find a man who would provide as much or more and expect less in return.
Grass is not green.
And this segues into the second point I want to make. Let's take a look at this woman's situation more generally. She's working a job with a take-home pay of $75,000 a year. It's not really an important job. It's not a job that anybody would miss if it disappeared from existence today.
And quite frankly, the company does not care about you in the least bit. And as soon as you're not worth money to them anymore, you're gone.
And by her own admission, it's not a job that gives her deep meaning or abiding satisfaction. However, she told me that she wouldn't give it up to be a housewife. So I said, okay, let's do a little more math. As previously mentioned, San Francisco is a very expensive market. After taxes and expenses associated with the minimum standard of urban survival, she was left with a discretionary income of about $15,000 a year, or about $40 a day. Now, $40 a day is not something you can easily break out of. Like, you're never going to buy a house if you're earning $40 a day. Your car needing new brakes is going to wipe out 2 weeks of discretionary income. God forbid you get hurt or you get laid off. The margins here are so small that life would indefinitely have to go perfectly in order to feel like you were making any profit at all. It also means that this woman was working a full-time job in order to earn enough to continue to afford to work a full-time job. If most of your income is spent just so that you can earn your income, you've got a real problem on your hands.
You do.
Like, this is not an enviable position to be in, and it certainly shouldn't be someone's professional goal. However, I know many, many women in their 30s who end up in just such a predicament. My point is that things aren't always what they seem. That low-value chore was actually netting her $60,000 a year in comparable goods, whereas her career was earning her $5 an hour in functional profit. Her ex-boyfriend could have paid her $41 a day to take care of the apartment, and she would have been better off financially than living alone and working a full-time job.
Right.
She also wouldn't have had to work 8 hours a day to do this. So she would have had far more time on her hands to go to the gym or catch up with her friends or volunteer at the animal shelter or start her own business or any of the 10,000 things that people would rather be doing than working a fucking job. However, this...
And I don't ever hear him cuss. I'm sure he does a lot, but he had to do that for the emphasis, because this is how stupid, how illogical and absolutely just brain dead some of these people are. Like, how is this not How do you get more value out of busting your ass every single day and barely getting by versus coming together with another human being who you love, admire, cherish, and just playing a part, right?
This woman was so deeply indoctrinated with the idea that providing domestic service to a man was shameful, insulting, and beneath her dignity that she was willing to become a wage slave to avoid it.
Dummy.
I see it all the time. Women need to take a good, hard look at the economic consequences of their decisions. There's the woman who broke up with her boyfriend because he didn't want to split the childcare with her if they had kids. She didn't think that was fair. So she went off and got pregnant by herself. And now she does all the childcare by herself, but without a partner's material and emotional support. Or there's the woman who broke up with her boyfriend because he wanted to split the bills 70-30. That wasn't good enough for her. So now instead of paying 30%, she pays 100%. Or there's the woman that broke up with a loving long-term boyfriend because he wouldn't be sexually exclusive. She thought that she should be enough for him. And now she's back in the dating market where none of the men are sexually exclusive to her and none of them are emotionally invested in her either. Do you understand? Ladies, don't cut off your nose to spite your face.
Yep.
Think things through because most of you are in a position to get what you want as long as you don't fuck things up.
And that is an interesting thing. Like when he talks about the woman who breaks up with her husband because he's looking for just a little bit of extra bedroom fun. You know what I mean? It's like, is he paying all your bills, taking care of the kids, keeping you, draped up and dripped out, right? Riding in the, you know what I mean? Like, is he doing all these things? And you're tripping that he wants a little bit of strange after he's like, busted his ass to be able to do all this stuff for you, right? Like, okay, I get it. Maybe you want the guy to be exclusive, but you got to do a lot of things to be able to really warrant that. And then if he's not exclusive and you break up with him, now you're with men who none of them are exclusive and none of them give a shit about you and don't like, and aren't providing and don't, you know what I mean? Like there's no future. Anyways, the logic, I love it. I love it when this guy does the math, right? And he puts it in real simple numbers because men understand this shit inherently, right? Like we listen, 1 + 1 is 2. Okay, we got it, right? And some woman out there is going to be like, well, but I didn't feel like, you know what I'm saying? And the whole thing just goes in the toilet. Anyways, hey man, hit the like button, hit the comments, subscribe to the channel. Psych Hacks, dude is hella funny and he knows what he's talking about. Go check him out. All right, Ill Bill, I'm out. Peace.